Well, last week we checked in a few times at the LA Auto Show. It's cool to see what's coming down the pike.
That car, wow. No
That's
matter
cool.
how sophisticated things become, our cars still have batteries. That's what our first question relates to today.
Yeah, first let's welcome back Peter Fink. He owns Certified Transmission. Good to see you, Peter.
Hi, Peter.
Mike, Mary, great to be
car.
here.
Yeah,
wasn't
it's
that cool?
definitely different.
You're a car buff.
I don't know if that's a car for Omaha with the weather, drive year round.
What? You don't think so? Ice on the roads? That would hold up?
Maybe spring, fall, summer, something like that, as long as it ain't raining or something.
I get
It'd be fun to drive, though, in dry weather.
It'd be different.
Let's get to our first question. This question comes from Jackie. She asks, why do car batteries die more often in the cold?
Well, that is a great question, okay? Now, actually, that isn't correct, okay? Actually, it seems like they die more in the cold, but actually heat or the summers actually makes car batteries die more because it overheats them and boils the electrolytes out of them, and there's actually more batteries sold in the summertime than there actually is the winter. But in the winter, it's a way more frustrating deal, okay? And we got kind of a couple things happening here, okay? Because your motor oil is cold and it's almost like molasses, okay? Yeah. And things like this. The starter's cold, and anytime it's cold, just like your body before you try to work out, you're supposed to warm up a little bit and then you can move and more freely and everything. Well, all these mechanical parts are the same way when it's cold. Then the battery has the chemical reaction that transfers the atoms from the negative to the positive.
This
People
is a
think
lot
it
of
goes
science.
positive. Yeah. There's a lot of science to it. The bottom line is, when it's cold, the chemical reaction doesn't work as well. So that's why it's very important to always size the right battery, okay, and stuff. Don't just buy a battery. They say, what kind of car, year, make, model, engine size, don't guess. Get the right size, because those cold cranking amps, otherwise it isn't. Second, the wintertime, people don't drive their cars as far, and we turn all the accessories on. Your alternator charges this battery. Well, we got the heater going, trying to warm up. We got our heated seats going. We got all this stuff going. It's calling all this power, and the alternator don't keep up, so it doesn't even charge the battery adequately.
As much,
because you're not driving it. A 15-minute drive isn't 20 minutes, isn't long enough to charge it. Yeah. So it's kind of a perpetual motion going down, down, down. So, we need to drive them, let them warm up, okay? Don't have all the accessories going. Slow them down if you don't. Instead of high, you maybe medium once the heater's a little closer and stuff, But battery's a challenging part in the wintertime, no doubt.
That's a great question. I didn't realize the answer would be so fascinating.
And we could use the whole time on just that one alone.
That's cool, though.
Yep.
I get it.
All right.
So let's get to our second question, and this one comes from Anne. She writes, I have a 2007 Nissan Quest that is having a hard shift changes once I've driven 20 miles or so. What could be causing this issue when I'm driving farther?
Okay.
Wow,
well,
that's weird.
This one,
is that weird?
Should be related to a transmission problem, it sounds like, okay? First thing we'd have to do is this one is not going to be for the amateur. You're going to have to get it to a shop and get it checked out, and since it's transmission, I would say most likely get it to one of our shops. We'll be happy to look at it for her. Okay, we need to scan it, see what kind of codes, if there's any codes in here. Nissans have a real bad tendency to wear out the valve body and the solenoids on the valve body. If we catch this in time before the transmission is actually damaged, we can replace the valve body before we have to rebuild the transmission. It's still fairly expensive. I mean, we're probably talking $1,200, $1,400, okay? But a new transmission is like double that price, okay? So it's definitely in our best interest to get it in. If we're lucky, maybe there would be a sensor or something like that. Doubt it. The valve bodies wear out and the solenoids don't function properly, and that's an indication when it warms up, the fluid thins out, and it has what we call an internal leak in that valve body, and then it causes the shift problem. Very common on Nissan transmissions, okay? So
unfortunately for Ann, it's probably not easy fix.
It don't sound like it.
But
really
you got to fix it.
We can fix it.
Right
There's
away.
no doubt about it.
Sure.
But we first is spend a little bit of money, get proper diagnosis. Don't just throw money at it. Don't throw a valve body. Don't go buy a transmission. I mean, we need to check it first. And that goes for any car problem, always. Okay.
Finally, our last question. Matt says, I've always wondered, in simple terms, I like how he puts it in simple terms, can you explain the difference between a gas engine and a diesel engine?
Okay.
All right.
Simple terms here, Peter.
All right, simple terms. A gas engine uses a spark plug to ignite the the fuel mixture, okay, and a diesel does not. How does a diesel do it? That's the interesting question, okay? In a gas motor, the compression in the cylinders is about 9, 10, 11 to 1. In a diesel, it's like 22 to 24. It actually compresses that air-fuel mixture so hard that it ignites by itself. Actually, it's kind of intriguing that it can really do that, okay?
Right.
Because usually to start a fire or an explosion, you need a spark. You always hear if there's a gas leak, you know, don't turn the light switch on or don't do this because that's the spark to ignite it. A diesel has nothing. It compresses that air-fuel mixture so hard that it ignites and explodes by itself. So
But
that's
diesel
the big
engines
difference.
are usually associated with bigger vehicles, though,
Yeah.
right? Because they have more power,
Usually,
more
but they
torque.
actually have them
automakers.
in little cars anymore, Volkswagens and everything.
Well, that's true, yeah.
They
Volvos.
actually are way more fuel efficient because of how they compress and this compression ratio. Okay.
I've learned a lot from you today, Peter. I feel like I'm off to a good start. 5 area locations for certified transmission, and I believe Ann was our second viewer, so might make sense to log on to certifiedtransmission.com. Peter, thank you.
Definitely.
Really
Always
appreciate
Thanks a lot,
you being
Peter.
here.
Yeah, good information.
Happy Thanksgiving too, by the way.
You guys too.
Yeah.
Thank you.